The movie starts in the middle of the Caribbean Sea. A family is enjoying their vacation on a yacht. Julia, the mother, jumps into the water for a swim. While relaxing, she suddenly feels something strange touch her body. She looks around, but nothing is visible, so she convinces herself it was just her imagination. A few seconds later, she feels it again. This time, fear kicks in. Julia starts swimming back toward the yacht, but suddenly something grabs her leg and begins pulling her underwater. She screams for help, but her daughter Cassie is wearing headphones and listening to music, unable to hear her. Tom and Ben are busy fishing and don't notice either. Julia struggles to stay above water, but water fills her mouth, making it harder to shout. After a while, Tom realizes Julia has been gone for too long. He searches the yacht, spots her in danger, and immediately alerts the kids. Tom jumps into the water, reaches Julia just in time, and with the children's help pulls her back onto the yacht. Later, Julia calms herself, believing the waves caused the incident. That night, the family celebrates Ben's birthday. Cassie steps outside with her laptop after receiving a video call from her boyfriend, who shows her massive black clouds covering the city. The call suddenly glitches and freezes. When Cassie tells her family, Tom dismisses it as a weak signal due to being far from land. Suddenly, they hear a loud sound. Outside, they see a group of whales passing by. Tom explains that whales follow Earth's magnetic field, but storms can confuse them. Without warning, the yacht shakes violently and Ben falls. Worried about damage, Tom dives underwater to inspect the yacht. He soon returns to the surface with a deep wound on his shoulder. Julia quickly stitches the injury as Tom explains that underwater, he felt something huge moving behind him. When he turned around, he was cut by the propeller, but whatever was there felt massive. With visible damage to the yacht and no signal working, the family realizes they are truly stranded. Julia keeps trying the radio again and again, while Cassie searches for a signal on her phone, but nothing works. Suddenly, Cassie spots a strange creature and screams in panic. Moments later, it's revealed to be Ben, wearing a mask and joking around. The tension breaks briefly. Soon after, the yacht completely shuts down, leaving the family stranded in the middle of the ocean. Julia hears a voice on the radio, but the signal is too distorted to understand anything. Tom gathers the family and explains the reality. They only have enough food and water for 4 days, and now all they can do is wait for a fishing boat to pass by. Suddenly, something appears on the radar, followed by an eerie sound. The family rushes outside and watches in shock as multiple fiery objects crash down from the sky. Explosions erupt wherever they hit. When one of them splashes into the water near the yacht, Tom tries to restart the engine. It barely comes alive before another object slams into the area. Terrified, the family clings to each other. That's when Tom realizes the truth. These aren't meteors, they're falling satellites. At the same time, Ben notices smoke rising from the yacht. Tom checks and confirms the engine is destroyed. As strong winds pick up, the family retreats inside, unaware that the compass is spinning wildly. The yacht starts shaking violently. Ben falls again, this time getting injured. Waves crash hard against the vessel. Tom struggles outside to grab life jackets. Suddenly, the power goes out. He quickly resets the power box, restoring the lights. That's when Ben notices blood coming from Julia's nose. She feels dizzy, while Cassie rushes to the sink and vomits. Tom keeps trying the radio, but there's still no signal. A sharp, high-pitched noise fills the air as the wind grows even stronger. Julia tries to seal the doors, but one hatch bursts open, and the storm smashes the windows. Tom fires a flare into the darkness, and soon, everything goes black. The next morning, the family wakes up in shock, realizing they survived the storm. But the yacht is badly damaged. When they step outside, they're stunned. The ocean is gone. The yacht is now stuck on dry land. Cassie checks for signal again, but the network is completely down. Ben starts playing with 2 dead crabs nearby. Tom checks the compass and freezes. It's reversed. He explains this has only happened once before, around 700,000 years ago. Cassie breaks down, convinced her boyfriend is dead. When Julia tries to comfort her, Cassie pushes her away and runs off to hide. Julia and Tom inventory their remaining supplies. Ben ties his birthday balloons to a rock, hoping some survivor might see them. Tom makes another attempt on the radio, and this time someone answers. A man named Now, a submarine captain, responds. His submarine is also stranded on land. He confirms the magnetic poles have reversed, forcing the ocean to pull back and flooding the land instead. Now says he hasn't seen any other survivors, and all communication systems are completely down. Now explains that the magnetic poles will reverse again, and the ocean may return within a week. He warns the family to move to higher ground because when the water comes back, it will be violent and deadly. He also reveals that his partner died in the crash, and the submarine can only carry 3 people. Julia and Tom beg him to at least save their children. Now shares his coordinates before the signal fades. Tom calculates that reaching the submarine will take 2 to 3 days. He tells the family to rest for the night and prepare to leave in the morning. At sunrise, the family begins packing supplies when Tom notices movement nearby. A limping man appears, holding a harpoon, followed by a barking dog. Tom cautiously approaches and offers him a bottle of water. The man speaks in an unfamiliar language. After drinking, the stranger suddenly smashes the bottle into Tom's head, kicks him hard, and before anyone can react, drives the harpoon straight into Tom's stomach. Tom struggles briefly before the man slashes his throat. Julia runs in terror, but the man chases her and throws the harpoon, striking her shoulder. Fighting through the pain, Julia escapes into the yacht and tells the kids to hide. She locks the door. Cassie and Ben crawl inside the sofa while Julia hands them a flare gun. Armed with a knife, she hides in the bathroom. The attacker forces his way inside. He grabs food, searches the yacht, and heads toward the bathroom. Julia slips out through a small opening, thinking she's escaped, but the dog spots her and attacks. Julia stabs the dog, killing it. Hearing the dog scream, the man rushes out and explodes with rage when he sees its body. Julia tries to re-enter the yacht from the opposite side, climbing up toward a broken window. The man reaches her first, punches her hard, and sends her crashing down. She clings to furniture, but he kicks her away, pins her wrist to make her drop the knife, slams her face into the floor floor and begins choking her on the sofa, right in front of the children. Cassie rushes out and fires the flare gun. It hits the man directly, setting him on fire. Flames spread through the yacht as the kids escape. Julia returns, kicks the burning man away, grabs the map and supplies, and runs. Cassie and Ben collapse beside their father's body, crying. Julia joins them. Together, through tears and silence, they say their final goodbye to Tom. Just when the family thinks it's over, the terrifying man emerges from the burning yacht once again. Panic takes over and they run. Moments later, the yacht explodes behind them in a massive blast. After putting some distance between themselves and the fire, they stop near a small waterfall to catch their breath. Cassie wonders if the man followed them because of the balloons they were carrying. Ben immediately feels guilty, blaming himself. Julia reassures him that none of this was his fault and urges them to keep moving. The man could still be out there. As they continue, Ben freezes after spotting a dead hammerhead shark lying near a shallow pond. Julia realizes the danger isn't over. The man is getting close again. They break into a run and tumble down a sand dune, landing in an area filled with toxic waste. Carefully, they cross through it and finally believe they've lost him. Along the way, they pass massive dead sea creatures and piles of plastic once buried beneath the ocean. Ben begins slowing down, and Julia knows he's close to dehydration. She calls for a stop. When she checks the water bottle, her heart sinks. It's almost empty. Cassie admits she may not have tightened the cap properly. Julia snaps, blaming her carelessness. Cassie fires back that it doesn't matter because they're probably not going to survive anyway. The argument lingers, but they keep moving. Soon, they come across a crashed airplane. Something moves inside, terrifying them until birds fly out. They decide to spend the night inside the plane. They share what little food they have. Julia finds a family photo inside Tom's jacket, and it breaks her. Cassie softly asks how her parents fell in love. Julia smiles through the pain and tells her that Tom was once her patient at the hospital, and one day, he confessed his love with flowers and a heartfelt poem. Late at night, Cassie steps outside the plane. Suddenly, the man tries to grab her from behind. Before he can react, Julia attacks him from behind, stabbing him again and again until he finally collapses, dead. Cassie hugs her mother, calming her down. By morning, insects swarm the man's body. The family notices deep bite marks all over him, realizing a dangerous creature is lurking in the area. As they walk away, crabs crawl out of the man's mouth. Hours later, Julia and Cassie study the map when Ben quietly wanders ahead. Julia yells for him to stop, but he bends down to drink from a pond. She rushes over, pulls him back, and warns him that unknown water could make him seriously sick. The heat becomes unbearable. They cover their heads with cloth as Ben starts feeling dizzy. Eventually, they find old chairs scattered nearby. Using them, Julia and Cassie build a temporary shelter. Julia gives Ben an injection and decides they'll stay there for the night. Julia wakes up to a strange noise. When she steps outside, she sees a massive swarm of crabs moving straight toward them. She immediately wakes the kids, and the three of them start running for their lives. In the distance, they spot a huge cargo ship. 3 crew members are still alive. One woman wants to help the family, but the 2 men refuse. They lock the container doors and leave the family outside. As the crabs close in, Julia helps the kids climb onto the container. When she tries to climb up herself, the crabs bite into her leg. The kids pull her up just in time. Through a hole in the container, crabs start pouring inside. The crew opens fire, but the swarm overwhelms them. One by one, all 3 crew members are dragged down and killed. Bleeding badly, Julia wraps her wound and passes out. When she wakes up, she's alone in the middle of a sandstorm. Panicking, she searches for her children, grabs a weapon from a dead body, and screams their names. Cassie hears her voice and runs back, explaining that she and Ben were looking for help but found nothing. Soon, they reunite with Ben, who discovers an open container where they can wait out the storm. Using Tom's lighter, Julia cauterizes her wound, enduring unbearable pain. After the storm passes, they find another container filled with bottled water. While checking bodies nearby, they also find a radio and a gun. Julia contacts Now and tells him the map is lost. Now explains that they were attacked by arthropods, mutated creatures driven mad by oxygen exposure. He warns them to hurry, as his instruments show the ocean will return much sooner than expected. They only have a few hours left. He fires a flare, giving them a direction to follow. After a long walk, the family comes across a broken toilet, and Ben finally gets some relief. Soon after, they spot the submarine. It's close, but to reach it, they must cross a steep rocky path. As they move forward, the ground begins to shake. Rocks start falling, triggering a deadly landslide. Julia pushes her children aside and barely saves herself. A massive rock wall now separates her from the kids. Julia tells them to go on without her. Cassie refuses, begging her mother to try climbing. After a painful argument, Julia promises she'll find them later. Crying, Cassie pulls Ben forward, and the kids climb toward the submarine. When they reach it, they find Now lying outside, covered in blood. He tells them it's over for him, but the submarine still has space for them. Believing there might be one extra seat, Cassie runs back to find her mother. Meanwhile, Julia sees the crabs returning and starts firing at them, killing several, but the swarm is too large. Just as she's about to be overwhelmed, Cassie appears above the rock wall and reaches out her hand. Despite her injured leg, Julia climbs with everything she has. With Cassie's help, she makes it across, and they run together toward the submarine. Ben is already inside and opens fire to keep the crabs away. As the creatures reach the submarine's hull, they begin tearing into it. Julia keeps shooting until the kids are safely inside. When she realizes she's out of bullets, she throws the gun at the crabs and climbs in. The family locks the hatch tightly and watches through the window as the crabs swarm around the submarine. Suddenly, the ocean rushes back. The 3 of them strap into their seats and hold hands. Violent waves slam the submarine around. Julia sees flashes of everything they've endured, while Cassie throws up. The high-pitched sound returns, and they lose consciousness. Later, Julia and the kids wake up, stunned to realize they're alive. They unlock the hatch and step outside, discovering the submarine has been washed into a destroyed city. Civilization may be gone, gone, but survival is possible. And with hope for a new beginning, the story comes to an end. If you enjoyed this movie explanation, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more content like this.